I'd like to welcome you to the inaugural BeAGameChanger Awards, designed to recognize those individuals and organizations that are doing the most to progress women's sport. This evening is all about the actions that make the difference. We want the examples set by our finalists and our winners to provoke a response in everyone in this room. We want each person to ask the question, what can I do to make women's sport more visible, more viable, and ultimately unstoppable? And then we want you to commit to taking action. So if we're so keen on action, you could reasonably ask, what have we been doing? Well, our work over the last year has been guided by our three priorities: to increase the profile and impact of role models, to improve media coverage, and to change the funding landscape. Now, WST is a very lean organization, and in many ways too much so. But when you have limited funds and limited capacity, you've got to make damn sure that everything you do has maximum effect. And I hope that these awards tonight will do just that. But in addition to tonight, which has been a significant undertaking, let me tell you what else we've been up to. In the role model space, we've created platforms for athletes to share their experiences and to inspire others. We've joined with Danielle Selwood to establish Sport is Beautiful as the image campaign of WST, and you can see some of the results in the room here. Yay. Our ambition is to create an image bank that will get these sorts of shots out to every school, club, and university in the country. We want to raise the bar in terms of how sportswomen are represented by focusing on their skill, their strength, their courage, and their commitment. This will amplify their impact and demonstrate what women and girls are capable of. In media terms, we've forged strong alliances across print, broadcast, and online, as well as growing our own social media reach. We've played an active part in shaping the debate about women's sport, with regular opportunities to comment and to play stories. We've also gained access to media decision makers, many of whom join us here tonight, which gives us the opportunity to make the case for increased coverage of women's sport. In terms of funding, we've started to unpick exactly what's needed to shift the landscape, and I'll let Joe talk to that in a moment. Finally, to assist us achieve our aims, we've focused on becoming more diverse and inclusive as an organization in terms of our trustees, our media links, our networks, our audiences, and how we run ourselves. You know, if we're too narrow in the way in which we progress women's sport, then that's not really progress at all. Now, on a personal level, my biggest driving force is this desire to improve, to learn, to develop, to be the best that I can be, to push myself out of my comfort zone. And that's probably where we all intersect in this room, because whether you're a corporate organization wanting to grow your markets, a journalist aiming to land a great story, or an athlete focused on your next PB, getting better and achieving more is a common driver. That's what we want from women's sport. And when I look out into this room, I see enormous potential. Let's make women's sport truly unstoppable.
Oh, my go, and I'm all mic'd up and a captive audience, my favourite. And the first thing I want to do is congratulate you on the quality of the debate you've had before you even came in the room. The fact that most of it was about how to cope with the ban on stilettos is neither here nor there. And as a comfy shoe girl, I had no problem with it whatsoever. Which is kind of a tenuous link to say, we're run on a shoestring, and a pretty tatty shoestring at that, despite the glitz and glamour of this evening. And I suppose my job is to say that money matters. It's not a dirty word. It matters to us, it matters to athletes, and it matters to women's sport. We believe that for women's sport to take the next big leap forward, it needs consistent, considerate, otherwise known as considerable, and imaginative funding. Over the last 12 months, we've really tried to dig under the skin of what's going on around funding. We brought together senior figures from sport and business to actually really interrogate the value proposition and to start to think where the evidence might come from for investing in women's sport. We learnt a number of things. We learned that the business case was strong and varied, and it spoke to core concerns about brand, about talent, about markets, about innovation. It wasn't about corporate social responsibility. We also heard a number of organisations expressing an interest in women's sport, a positive intent towards it, but not enough of this was converting into the deals done. Women's sport is a relatively immature market, and we think that means two main things. One, it's pretty hard to navigate. Two, it's rich with opportunity. So we're excited to announce two powerful alliances that are specifically aimed at forging a stronger link between sport and business. We were very pleased to be approached by the 30% Club to co-chair their new sport and business group, along with Women Ahead, who are in the room with us tonight. They have pretty much the best Rolodex in town, and that'll give us access to senior leaders in business and give us a chance to start to talk about positioning women's sport as a way of enabling organisations to realise their genuine ambitions around inclusion and gender equity. We're also very excited, so excited I'm fall off the stage with excitement, I must not step forward quite so vigorously. We're proud to announce that we will be working in partnership with Y Sport. Y Sport is the new sports and management and sponsorship consultancy aimed solely at women's sport. It's led by Sally Horrocks, who is over there. When you have the mic, you have license to point at people and embarrass them furiously. So Sally is one of the trailblazers in terms of sponsorship. She's been behind or part of a lot of the deals for the FA and for netball, amongst others. And we're going to work with her and her organisation to bridge that gap between the desire to invest in women's sport and the reality of cold, hard cash. We are also going to get 10% of their profits, so we're quite motivated by that too.
Yay, Sally.
We don't actually think women's sport is the same as men's sport. Good sport is good sport, but we think that there is a really different commercial proposition on offer here. So we need to reimagine what's possible, not imitate. We need to amplify current great events, and we need to create new ones. And we need to showcase some of the extraordinary role models that you can see dangling here. That doesn't sound right, but anyway, you know what I mean. And finally, bringing it back to us, the Women's Sport Trust. People ask us what we're run on. I think we're run on determination, passion, phenomenal support from athletes, great trustees, and an awful lot of red wine. It's not a bad recipe, but it's probably not sustainable in the long term. We need friends. Microsoft, for example, have been really good friends this evening, as have our other award sponsors. They've helped us survive, but we want to thrive and we want to increase our impact. In some ways, we think the Women's Sport Trust is a microcosm of women's sport itself. Imagine what we could all do with some more welly behind the investment. So we are going to ask you to pledge your support to women's sport in the round, and we'll talk a bit about how we do that in a sec, and to the Women's Sport Trust. We would love to hear about your ideas and your ambitions, and frankly, we'd love to hear about your resources as well to help women's sport actually fly. We are really looking for long-term partnerships to amplify what we're doing here. So have a fantastic evening. Please cheer the speakers and the awesome finalists, and not even more awesome, the awesome winners, equally awesome everybody, to the rafters. And we really hope we see some more of you in a different place next year as contenders for the awards themselves, because you've played your part. So welcome, have a fantastic evening, and time for us to move stage left.